The wilderness holds secrets, stories buried deeper than any geological fault line. And today, we're digging up one of the most astonishing human dramas ever played out in America's first national park.
Welcome to the Trail Chronicles. I'm Amanda, and alongside my mom, Laura, we're two happy campers obsessed with the hidden histories beneath our hiking boots.
That's right, I'm Laura, and this mother-daughter team is ready to trade the comfort of our cozy fifth wheel for a tale of extreme isolation, survival, and decades-long secret in the heart of Yellowstone.
And you know we never hit the trails alone. Right now, she's probably smelling something ancient and fascinating. Give a bark for the people, Lua.
That's right, our fluffy History Hound Lua, and she's ready for her close-up.
Before we dive into the deep woods of history, Mom, let's get our mandatory camper check-in done. How's our favorite Great Pyrenees Lua doing this week? She seems extra fuzzy.
She is absolutely fantastic, Amanda, and she's definitely starting to grow in her full winter coat. And actually, we need to celebrate. Lua just officially celebrated her 6th-month birthday. Can you believe how fast she is growing?
6 months already. She's certainly growing into her History Hound title.
I know, this is going to be Lua's first winter, and she seems to instinctively understand what that glorious fluff is for. She's been experiencing some beautiful, crisp autumn mornings here in the valley, and she's been thriving. Speaking of recent adventures, for those who missed it, our last big hike was at Pinecrest Lake. It was a major milestone because it was Lua's very first pack hike. And not just with us, we had the whole crew along, your sister's dog Bailey and your 2 little nieces and nephews. The fall colors are incredible, and if you want to see Lua and Bailey trying to lead the pack, not herd the kids, they were strictly focused on setting the pace. Be sure to check out the video of that trip on our YouTube channel, History Hounds and Happy Campers.
That's right. Go check it out. It's a great one. Back to the present. Lua's been enjoying long, cooler morning walks here. She's currently enjoying a very long, very well-deserved nap after her latest adventure. She spent a solid 10 minutes trying to look intimidating while attempting to herd a flock of Canadian geese, but it was mostly just happy bouncing and tail wags.
Lua's commitment to herding things she cannot control is truly adorable.
Any solid updates on our next camping trip?
We do. We decided to combine our love of camping with holiday tradition. We are heading out for Thanksgiving week. We're setting up at Yellowstone Campground, but instead of a cabin or tent, we're going to be in our cozy fifth wheel. It's a perfect way to have a stationary, warm holiday home base while still being immersed in nature. We'll be sure to post a full Yellowstone Campground review with photos and tips on our Facebook page after the trip.
That sounds amazing, Mom. That's going to be the definition of happy camping. Family, food, and the fifth wheel. Lua's already been giving me the big, soulful eyes, lobbering for an extra share of my sleeping bag, which, let's be honest, she'll get anyways.
She will. Our Yellowstone Thanksgiving trip is going to be wonderful and so much fun. I'll make sure to double check the cold weather cooking gear for our holiday feast.
All right, check-in complete. Our History Hound is happy and our next adventure is planned. Now let's turn our attention to the sprawling wild history of Yellowstone.
That's right, Amanda. Today we're diving into a lesser-known, truly intriguing human story that played out right in the heart of Yellowstone National Park. It's about a person, a life of extreme isolation, and a mystery that wasn't solved for decades.
Ooh, a mystery with a rugged setting. What's the scoop, Mom?
Okay, well, picture the park in your mind's eye, Yellowstone. It is this immense, sprawling tapestry of mountain wilderness, high-altitude plateaus, and crucially, a volatile heart of geothermal activity. All those geysers, hot springs, and steam vents established in 1872. It holds the title of America's and the world's first national park. It spans nearly 3,500 square miles, primarily covered Wyoming, but extending into Montana and Idaho, sitting on top of a massive volcano hotspot. The terrain is extreme. Towering mountain ranges meet vast isolated forest and while sitting over an unstable power of the caldera. However, in the early 1900s, when our story takes place, it was a massive, largely ungoverned territory managed not by the National Park Service yet, but by the U.S. Army Cavalry. This left huge remote corners essentially wild and lawless, perfect for anyone wishing to disappear entirely. And living within its vastness for potentially over 20 years was a figure known to a few locals and rangers simply as Old Man Pryor, or sometimes Pryor the Hermit.
A true hermit, choosing to live entirely alone in that kind of wilderness, that takes an incredible amount of grit and self reliance, especially given how unforgiving those winters can be.
It does. He was a real life wilderness survivalist. He wasn't a seasonal ranger. He certainly wasn't a tourist, and he wasn't an official resident. He was an unauthorized settler, a squatter, a skilled trapper, and possibly a disillusioned prospector, a person who deliberately chose a solitary life deep within the park's boundaries long before the National Park Service took over management.
So, where exactly did he set up shop? Yellowstone is huge.
He built a small, crude, but incredibly well hidden cabin near what is known today as the Snake River, down in the southwestern corner of the park. This is an area known as the Cascade Corner. It is one of the wettest, wildest, and most remote sections, characterized by dense forest, many waterfalls, and an incredible harsh winter environment. It was the perfect place to disappear. His exact origins are incredibly murky, which only adds to his legend. Some accounts whispered he was a gold prospector, others that he was an army deserter. He never offered a true name or past to anyone.
And the park authorities, the US Army at the time, they just tolerated this guy?
Yes, the army was in charge for many years. While they eventually ramped up efforts to enforce regulations, Old Man Pryor was a master of evasion. He knew every trail, every drainage, every hiding spot in the western plateau like the back of his hand. He was an expert woodsman who could vanish almost instantly. His primary activities were illegal trapping of beaver, which provided him valuable furs to trade for essentials like flour, coffee, and tobacco with locals on the perimeter of the park. He was rarely hostile, just intensely private and elusive. People who did see him described his long, often matted beard, his worn buckskins, and his almost ghost like silence. For many, he was simply a strange fixture in the deepest woods.
So, what broke his dedication to the isolated life? How did his story end?
His long tenure came to a poignant close in the harsh winter of 1907 and 1908. It was a particularly brutal season with massive snowfall and freezing temperatures. He was elderly by then, and the cumulative toll of decades of isolation and hard living finally caught up with him. He was eventually found by a small detachment of rangers near death, suffering from severe malnutrition and exposure. They realized the situation was dire and had to fight the extreme weather to transport his emaciated body out of the park by sled.
Oh, that's such a sad, lonely ending for a person who lives so fiercely free.
It really is. They managed to transport him to a hospital in nearby St. Anthony's, Idaho, hoping to save him. And this is where the historical records truly get astonishing, Amanda. Once he was admitted to the hospital and examined by doctors, the sensational truth came out.
Don't stop now, Mom. What was the shocking discovery?
Okay, wait. Old Man Pryor was not who everyone thought he was. He was an individual who had been living as a man for years, but the doctors examined him, determined he was a biological female.
No way! That is genuinely one of the most incredible stories I've ever heard. A person living as a grizzly old trapper in disguise for decades in the extreme isolation of Yellowstone?
It absolutely is remarkable. The papers of the time in Idaho and Montana quickly published the story, attempting to uncover his true identity. This individual had essentially created a new life and persona, a true act of extreme self invention, while some later accounts assigned the name Marianne Montrose to the hermit, while historical facts surrounding the exact identity remain complex and debated. What we know for sure is the immense effort and dedication it took for this individual to maintain the persona while surviving in such a punishment environment.
But why the disguise? Why live such a grueling life as a man?
Well, again, we can only speculate, but the context is key. In the early 20th century American West, a lone woman faced incredible dangers and obstacles, both physical and social. Adopting a male persona would have offered a necessary layer of protection, freedom of movement, and most importantly, the ability to pursue trapping and prospecting, professions that were culturally and legally closed off to women at the time. It was the ultimate necessary masquerade to achieve a life of absolute self reliance and independence in a world that offered few alternatives.
What an amazing act of self determination. This person literally remade their identity to survive in the ultimate wilderness. Their story adds such a profound layer of respect and wonder to the history of Yellowstone.
I couldn't agree with you more, Amanda. The Hermit of Yellowstone story is a hidden gem of park history. It is a powerful testament of human resilience, the fierce desire for independence, and the lengths people will go to answer the call of the wild. This individual, whatever their true name was, carried the incredible secret, embodying the rugged mystery of the American West.
It reminds us that when we hike those remote trails near the Snake River, we're walking where the true legend of solitude once walked.
Absolutely. It is a reminder that every corner of these wild spaces holds human stories, not just the majestic nature, but of profound, often secret human drama. Before we sign off, tell us in the comments, if you had to drop everything and live in a remote cabin, which national park would you choose and why?
Speaking of a rugged, solitary life, let's take a look at what old Man Pryor's cabin might have looked like, or perhaps an imagined portrait of the hermit in their disguise. If you'd like to see this, check out our Facebook page.
Join us next time on the Trail Chronicles as we prep for our Yellowstone Thanksgiving trip and dive into history.
Make sure to check back next Friday for our next Trail Chronicles episode. And don't forget to follow our adventures and see the Yellowstone Campground Review on our Facebook page. Happy trails, everybody!
We'll see you next time.